I'm giving you 5 Lightroom hacks in under 5 minutes every photographer should know. Number 1 is use local adjustments to create contrast and depth in your image. Instead of using the contrast slider or the curves adjustment, which is going to provide contrast to the whole of the image, use local adjustments instead to add contrast to your image. It also provides more depth and looks great. As you can see in this shot, to really bring out the subject in my photo, I'm going to add some adjustments. I'm just showing you this image from northern Italy I've taken of a cute little valley with the mountains in the background, and I've done a basic edit on it, and now I'm going to show you how to add contrast using local adjustments only. And there is actually a fair bit of contrast already just naturally in this image, as you can see over here with the trees, the dark areas, and the town's pretty dark, reflecting the light sky, and we'll add some local adjustments to really make the town pop, which is our subject. I'm going to darken the top part of the sky using a linear gradient, sorry. Darken a little bit, and maybe add some blue tones as well, not too much. Maybe remove a tiny bit of saturation. As you can see, it's really just fine adjustments to add that tiny bit of contrast. Now, because I've done that in the sky, and you can see the reflection here is reflecting the sky, I'm going to do the same in the foreground of the image, making that a tiny bit darker as well. Now we're just going to add a radial filter to the middle of this image, just going to brighten it up a little bit, and this is really going to draw your eye into the subject of this image. Could add a radial gradient filter over the entire town, like that. Boost up the exposure, and that really makes the town pop. Also, with the power of AI now, we now have the ability to mask out areas which we weren't previously able to do. So I'm going to go ahead and mask out the sky. Now I'm going to darken the sky, and this is going to draw your eye away from the sky and focus more on the subject in the photo. You can also desaturate the sky with this slider, or change the hue, brightness, highlights, contrast, shadows. Anything you want to do is in this mask, which is really, really great and helpful. Hack number 2 is use intersecting masks to create even more depth to your original mask. So in the last few years, Lightroom added this ability to create intersecting masks, which is just unbelievable. It basically means you can dodge and burn your images without having to go on the Photoshop and creating additional masks and luminosity masks, color masks, and everything. So with that same trip to northern Italy, I captured this photo with the sun beaming in on the boats. And what I really like about this is it really adds that orange glow to the photo, which looks fantastic. And what I'm wanting to do here is add a bit more of that orange to the front and sort of make this boat pop without affecting the rest of it. So to do that, I'm going to dodge and burn using intersecting masks. So what I'm going to do is put a linear gradient here maybe. Bring up that exposure just a little bit. Bring down the dehaze, that'll bring out a real nice glow. Just bring it back. Maybe a bit of color. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to go intersecting masks down to the luminance range. Take it away on some of the blacks of the image. I think that looks perfect. Now for the boat, I'm wanting these lines here where the light is hitting to sort of pop a bit more. So I'm just going to paint them in with a brush, maybe on the back as well, because there's a little bit of light hitting that. What I'm going to do is bring it up a little bit, maybe make it a bit warmer. Straight down to intersecting mask with luminance range, and remove the black areas. And as you can see, it's really just ever so lightly boosted the exposure on that. And you can take it further if you really want to pop it as much as you want. You can see it. So hack number 3 is to use color grading to push an emotion or a feeling inside of your image. So using warmer tones in your image or using cooler tones is generally going to affect how people feel when they look at your image. If you use a warmer tone, people are generally going to feel a bit more happy. If they use a cooler tone, maybe it's a sad or a cold feeling. Okay, so this is an image taken from Kitzbühel in Austria. It's of a cross-country skier skiing down on the snow, but as you can see, it's got a really warm temperature, which sort of makes it look wrong because it doesn't feel very cold. It actually feels pretty warm, especially with the orange sunrise. It feels a bit strange, so I'm just going to change it a little bit. First up, what I'll do is I think I'll change the white balance to a cooler white balance. Try cloudy. I think maybe a little bit warmer than that. Looks pretty good. We'll just go down to the color grading module. So when you color grade the shadows, obviously it grades the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights respectively. So with the shadows, I'm going to add a blue bluer tone because majority of this is going to be shadows. So adding a slight bluer tone to really push that. Highlights, I'm going to want a warmer tone because it is sunrise. Let's make that a little bit warmer. You can just flick this to turn the effect on and off. It's looking pretty good. I'm just going to brighten that up a little bit. And the midtones will either make really warm or really white, depending on how we want to feel. I feel like that warms it up. That makes it look a bit cooler. The only thing I don't like is the sky is really blue, so I'm just going to try and desaturate the blues in the sky. So what I'm going to do is use a intersecting mask. So I'm going to go sky, color blue, and I just desaturated that blue to get rid of it and make it look a bit nicer. And yeah, as you can see, the difference of the color grading made on that image. It's really made it feel more blue and a bit cooler in temperature, which is really what we were aiming for. Hack number 4 is to slide your clarity and texture slider backwards to create a softer image. A lot of photographers don't know about this effect, but I really love it, and I think it looks great. I don't use it on all of my images, but especially images where there's a lot of fog, cloud, or maybe in a rainy forest, I really love how it works. So number 5 is the refine saturation, which you'll find under your curves graph. Initially, when you start using the curves graph, you'll notice that when you pull down your shadows and up the highlights a little bit, you create contrast, but your saturation also goes up in a lot of these areas, which makes it look unappealing at times, especially in orange tones. So what you can do is slide this back and it really refines that saturation to a finer detail. So I use the slider a lot, especially in photos that portray a lot of orange, red or yellow. These hues generally saturate more when you add contrast using the curves. So I use it and it takes away saturation and it looks a lot better. So this last hack I'm going to give you as a bonus for sticking around and watching till the end of the video. Instead of using the saturation slider to add saturation and color to your image, try using this instead. Go down to the calibration tab and slide up the blue primary channel. For some reason, I don't know why, and maybe you'll be able to explain this in the comments below better than what I can. So adding saturation from this blue channel, for some reason, adds a lot of soft saturation, but really pops all the colors in the image. It's the way I add saturation to a lot of my landscape images where there's a nice, bright, colorful sunset or something where there's a lot of color. And I don't know what it is, but it makes the saturation look so much more softer than using the regular saturation slider. Thank you for sticking around. If you did enjoy this video, thank you for watching till the end of the video. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you hit the thumbs up, give me a subscribe, and keep shooting, and we'll see you next time.